Oh, Event. Whew, and that's a high ranking there too. Event comes out with us this is pretty Regulation E stuff. We got Roaring Moon, but I think the main difference here is that Primarina is on it. Usually in these types of teams you would have seen Urshifu, so it's kind of cool to see Primarina instead. With that, let me see what the... Blood Moon looks pretty solid. I think that the main two problems Blood Moon is going to face, kind of 3 if Earth Power is what I'm looking for KOs, but I think from a super effective standpoint, it's going to be Rillaboom and Primarina. If I Ghost Terra, then Roaring Moon has a good hit against me. I don't like Dusclops as much, though, because of Roaring Moon, and I do need to be mindful of the opposing Paragraph on their team, but Blood Moon could pop off. I think it's just figuring out the positioning for it. I do like Primarina a lot, too. I think what I'm going to do... I feel like I'm going to bring in Rillaboom and Primarina with Ursaluna and Paragraph in the back. We'll go that route. Okay. They got a pretty tough Pokemon coming up here. Yeah, it's a really balanced team. I think my biggest problem is I don't really have a really solid hit into Heatran as much. I mean, Earth Power is definitely really solid, and also Hyper Voice too. But yeah, there's just other things I need to be mindful of. So we're going to try our best. Let's see what we can do here and to get these KOs. Alright, so we got Primarina and Roaring Moon. So kind of nice that we got Primarina out a little bit early versus my own Rillaboom and Primarina. So, it seems like they might want to go for, like, a Tailwind type of shenanigans here. Moon gets a boost. It's going to be the speed boost here. Okay, they set up probably Tailwind. I think in this case, I do feel confident going for Fake Out into Moon. I feel like Moon would have to Terra, right? Or Primarina. It's either Primarina Terras or Moon Terras. I think with that, actually, I want to hit U-Turn and Hyper Voice. Trying to set up Trick Room at this angle. Okay. That's fine. That means the following turn I get a Fire off a pretty strong Hyper Voice. Double Protect is fine, too. I unfortunately won't get a boost here, but I don't think anything bad happened this turn. Okay, so, yeah, my Rillaboom is a little bit faster. I would imagine their Primarina would also be faster. But I think the main question here now is, I can Wood Hammer... Okay, so let's think about it. What would they switch into to a potential attack? So, I think either slot would have to... I feel like I can go get away with a Wood Hammer and a Moonblast. You know what? You can only tear one of two. And depending on what you pick, it's going to be kind of dangerous here, right? So I'm hoping to catch something off guard with a pretty big attack here. And if they switch out, then so be it. I think I still maintain decent momentum across the board anyways. Okay, Roaring Moon sets up Tailwind. I think I'm getting a double knockout here. Yeah, you just Moonblast. I'll take that like a champ. And it's Life Orb too. So I'm going to knock out Primarina. Cool. I take a little bit of recoil there. And I get to fire off this Moonblast as well. Okay. Great! That's kind of nice. I get a little double knockout there. I think the one change I could have made was using Grassy Glide instead of Woodhammer, but I am not opposed to how this played out so far. Alright, so they send in their own Rillaboom. Okay. And they got Landorus as well. Okay. So, looking at this, I think what I want to do is kind of chunk in as much damage as possible into Landorus. And then from there, figure out kind of the game plan. So, I'm down to Woodhammer into Landorus, expecting to KO myself. And I'm actually going to protect here for now. With the anticipation to do like an endgame Trick Room. I don't think Blood Moon needs it. If I can knock out Rillaboom early. Yeah, I think that, well. Because I definitely feel like I do need a Terra Primarina. Landorus Terras. Flying, right? Okay. Blood Moon does look really strong. I can definitely see Blood Moon being our Terra choice here. Perfect. I was okay with that. Probably also, yeah, because you're Tailwinded now, right? And Woodhammer. Okay. So let me go ahead and bring it in for Rigraff. The end goal is to set up Trick Room. And I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say, hey, you know what? I probably am going to get knocked out with Primarina, which is totally fine. I will Moonblast and do as much damage as possible. I could also try to aim for a double protect. They got 2 more turns of Tailwind, but that doesn't really make too much of a difference. If I try to get the double protect and I fail, I feel like I'd lose offensive momentum. I will go for Hyper Voice just to get some chip. Okay. And I would imagine Rillaboom is going to go after Furigraph as well, try to prevent Trick Room, right? Yep. Okay. That's a crit on that one, too. Oof. Yeah. So I was glad that I chose this path, just so I can get some additional damage off. Alright, so that was pretty good damage there. Primarina activates Goat Spray. The reason why I don't want to Terra Primarina is that I then become weak against Flying Terra Landorus. And that's one thing I want to avoid. So I'm down to Blood Moon into Rillaboom, and I will Hyper Voice again. Because now they have to make a decision, do I double up into one Pokemon, or do I... Like, it could be like, oh, maybe I'll... Yeah, there are a lot of different plays, right? So they might be thinking, oh, let me double up into Primarina, or let me double up into Ursaluna, but depending on what they choose, it could be disastrous for them. I think the double up into Ursaluna would probably be their best bet. I could have protected, but I also want to gain as much momentum as possible. So we're going to see the Terra Blast. Okay, so it is an Ursaluna, yeah. Take that decently well. And Woodhammer as well. So protecting actually would have... Ooh, but we survived, which is huge. That's all I needed. Let's go! And Ursaluna, that's one thing about Blood Moon Ursaluna. Its defenses are actually pretty high. So it does a really great job of just taking hits. And we get to finish this off with Blood Moon. Let's go, man. Talk about a great game here. Yeah, and I think it was the Primarina got to stick on the field for a while, and me recognizing that and saying, look, I'm not going to immediately fold to that. I'm just going to attack. Because another way they could have played it was double up into Primarina, and we would have gotten a pretty strong attack off too, which would have been helpful. Because then Blood Moon against Rillaboom would have been really strong. And then Landorus versus Blood Moon, I would have been okay with that.